So, I guess my question to you is, what exactly is your purpose? I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on out here. Stuff that needs to be addressed. But then again, there's some that don't need to be addressed. And we got those that are in between, that take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and they begin to manufacture their own narrative. And it is what it is. So, again, what is your purpose is basically what they want to know.
But is that a relevant question? Because you're correct in that there are a lot of things being addressed that they don't even know how, or should I say, shouldn't be addressed. And there are things that need to be addressed, but nobody seems to know how and where to address it. See, you have no idea of my purpose, even though I explained it, because you're not listening for the purpose. You're listening for the gimmick. You're listening for that thing that pulls you in and holds your attention momentarily, exciting your senses. But on what level does it hold your attention? Because you have the mediocre mind, the great mind, and the small and careless mind. The careless mind picks up on sound and things that flash in front of your eyes, that make noises to catch your attention. The mediocre mind picks up on words and things that are done in a creative way. Then there's the great mind. The great mind picks up on the words, what it sees and how it is presented and represented. And then what's behind it.
As a black man, I stand 10 toes down. Deep, dark, and enlightened with profound determination. Sometimes you can find me fingers wrapped around a thick twig of herbal stimulation. Other times it's balls to the walls while we're being pat down and searched for small packets of misguided ambition, just trying to be something other than a statistic, which is also known as the black condition, however misguided. We've been reconstituted, ill-suited, and then prosecuted. You see, they've criminalized our skin tone, weaponized our swag, and desensitized us to the genocidal thoughts that float like smoke within the blackness of our own pride. Reconciliation replaced with chronic persecution and systematic sensory deprivation. Simply said, isolation solidifies the cultural castration. And somehow we've become enamored and attached to the very program that was designed to infiltrate and decimate while gifting us with play dates on an NBA basketball court or an NFL football field. So, as a black man, I ask, what do you expect of me? You turned your back on me, walked away from me as if my existence was an embarrassment. You call my actions aggressive and my thoughts detrimental. My very breath seems to be a threat. How can I not raise my voice when silence can be taken as an act of cowardness. And that in itself is a slow death. How can I not clench my fist when open hands usually ends with handcuffs? You see, my truth is too dangerous to hold. So, as a black man, I ask, what do you expect of me? Overwhelmed love, twisted lust with unfavored hands work to survive a habitat designed with malicious intent. A conscious mind holds developmental properties, while an unconscious mind holds no way outside of what he holds to be personal property. Immured bodies and tainted souls, awkward families, merciless caregivers, salt water and palms, heart murmurs and asthma. Yeah, see, these are the elemental concepts of a weakened infrastructure. I am my brother's keeper. Words. My name is Ascari. And tonight I wish to address something that affects and effects us all. Our friends, our family, all those that are in our circle or the orbit of our existence. A lot of people don't that just because it doesn't seem to affect you or effect you doesn't mean that it doesn't. What I want to talk about is depression. Something that we all seem to suffer from in some form or fashion on some level. But the thing is nobody's willing to except those who are at the point that it's almost like a breaking point. But those before that, those of, some of us come out the streets, some of us come from wherever. And we feel like, oh well, that doesn't affect me, or I won't do this. You don't know what you would do when your mind and your spirit is in a bad place, or a place where you can't seem to find your way out. A dark cloud, if you will. They say there's a silver lining in every dark cloud, but you have to make it through the dark cloud. Now, whether we realize it or not, we all have a minute form, some a little bit more than others, but for the most part, a minute form of depression. We get down in the dumps, self pity, doubting ourselves. Some call it feeling sorry for yourself. It's many different. And in some cases, these might be true, but in a lot of cases, there's something else going on. Whether they say it's spiritual or chemical imbalance. Listen, the human body is a magnificent machine. I mean, Allah, the creation of the human body is just, it's it's unfathomable. You can't even really contemplate it. Even though scientists go, you got people that are cloned, but you've noticed that something goes wrong or something is wrong with all these clones that they're trying to do, whether it's chicken or dog, whatever. It's nothing. You can't. They're not God. You're not even a demigod. You know what I'm saying? You're just dabbling in something that you shouldn't be dabbling in. And there's a lot of stuff that go on out here in the streets, and we do because we feel we can. But it doesn't mean we should. But back to the case at point. I've been dealing with some stuff, of my own, just in the spirit of transparency. Because I've been working on projects for quite some time now, and I always get to this mode that I just lose. It's not like I lose interest, but I just lose the wind in my sail. And I get down, and and then I'm dealing with other stuff, paying bills and keeping a roof over my family's head, and vehicle at work, and and it becomes sometimes it gets a little bit overwhelming. But I'm learning more and more how to deal with it. Never mind you that I'm about to be 52 in a couple of months. It's just the point that sometimes it might take one a lifetime to get what it is that he needs or she needs to get to understand where they're at. You never stop learning. Even when you die, who knows? You may not even stop learning then. It may be something else, the afterlife. We know, well, for the most part, we know there's a heaven and there's a hell. Some say this is hell we're in now, and the next plane is heaven. It's to go back and forth. I'm Muslim. We believe in Jannah and we believe in the hellfire. And I'm definitely afraid, I'm terrified of the hellfire. So inshallah, I got enough goodness in me or on my side to keep me from that hellfire, or at least I won't be there that long. But this brings me, it's a good conversation because a lot of people says depression comes from a few different things. One of them is religion, a lack of not belonging, or what I'm saying, your belief is wavering in that which you believe in. But it's not unique to just you. It happens to everybody at some point in time. I believe even atheists. Matter of fact, I'm gonna try to locate a few atheists that um, I know, and I want to bring them in, and I'm gonna have a conversation with them, right? Because I look at it like this: no matter what you believe, if in life you are a good person and you strive to continue to be a good person, you help others, you are considerate, you're kind, you're generous, you know, you're a good person, then that's a reflect either on your character or your beliefs. Usually, your beliefs help mold your character, and sometimes, other people's beliefs help mold your character, which is of why we have the unfortunate situation of a lot of racism out here, because a lot of these so-called races don't even really know what their race is about. They go by what they're told or what they heard. But anyway, I digress. A few weeks ago, um, someone took their own life. Someone that I know. I wasn't. I won't say it like we was best friends or we grew up together, but I knew that. And we all knew by seeing the guy that something was going on. But I guarantee you, no one ever thought that it would be at the point that this person would be thinking about harming us. But he did. And, my heart goes out to his family, you uh, his wife, his children, you know, his family's free. But the thing is, my point is this: it's there. I was talking to my brother, and my brother was talking about being in a state of mind where It's like he's starting all over again, started from scratch. And what I told my brother is perhaps maybe you is. But the thing is that you're still going. You don't fall and stay down. You fall, you get back up, you dust yourself off, you know what I'm saying? You lick your wounds and you keep moving. You don't start feeling sorry for yourself. You don't start looking for the back door. This is the onset. This is what brings about depression, a form of it, should I say. Now it's not like this for everybody. Some people grew up with it. Some people are, I can't I don't I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but I would say some people may even been born. Because you've got people out here that are rich and famous and successful. Look at Robin Williams. You know what I'm saying? What's her name? Kate Spade. Um, Regina King's son. It affects us and the people around us. And even for those who have harmed themselves, I don't even think that, that they're in a space to even consider that the people that is that they are hurt by hurting themselves, their parents, their children, family, their friends, their state, whatever. I listen to a lot of different stuff and I do a lot of reading. And people talk about so many things that's going on out here and they brush across the subjects like depression, suicide. Uh, they brush across it in a hurry to get to murder, assault, uh, car accident, crash, bankruptcy, but they overlook that which is important. See, here in the conversation, I like to give you something that's sustenance to the brain, that may be warming to the soul or comforting to the heart. You know, by no means am I perfect. No means is my life everything set up and hunky dory and blick. No, I'm putting out this first episode of my podcast, but it was something that's supposed to have been out 2 months ago. Why? Because I had a form of depression, feeling down in the dumps, going to work, not really wanting to go to work, not wanting to, you know what I'm saying? Just feeling when you get there, things are a little bit different, but it's just the getting going part. You don't want to get out the bed, you don't want to get in the shower, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes I saw it was a movie one time. It was on FX. It was called The Bridge, and there was a scene in there after this guy, this detective, had lost his son, and and what he said was, say, well, you're suffering through depression. How do you do it? Every morning you come in here and where he said the first thing I do is I make my bed. And at first, the relevance of that like just went over my head. But then I thought about it. When he wakes up, he doesn't let the thought overtake his mind. He makes his bed, which is something that he taught his son. When you get up in the morning, make your bed. So now he's doing what he was teaching him, and he's showing the purpose of it because it not only establishes a routine, but it establishes a brain activity other than focusing on the death of his son. Now, I don't know if that makes perfect sense to you or not. Maybe if you think about it after a while or pay attention to something you do, or something that you continue to do after something terrible like that happens, maybe then you'll understand. But I've had a few things that happen in my life. Now, for the most of you that know me, know that I'm from the streets, man. Been a gangster all my life, but I've decided that being a gangster ain't just about um, you can beat up somebody or you'll pull a gun or you know what I'm saying, or you just say no. One of the main things about being a gangster is being able to accept the consequences that come along with your actions. So, see, I did a 240-month sentence in the Federal Bureau of Prisons, for manufacturing, distribution of a controlled substance. Won't even go into the was I guilty, was I innocent? I'm gonna go into the point that no matter what, guilty or innocent, especially if I was innocent, but even guilty was the time that I was sentenced to was egregious, egregiously wrong. But I was doing that sentence. My youngest brother passed away at 21. My mom died, and that was all within the same 24-hour period. There was nothing like that. The state of mind I was in, man, I thank Allah that I was Muslim and had something to focus on and turn to, because that probably would have destroyed most. I was very close with my mother, and I loved my baby brother. I'm the oldest. I'm named after my mother. But that happened. And for a while, you could say I was locked up, and I was I had some depression going on. I was fucked up because, oh man, I was fucked up. I don't have to say it because it was my mom and my baby brother, so I'm pretty sure that you understand that or have an idea. When I got out in 2019, I got out July 2019. My old man, my dad, passed away January 2020. Messed me up. Oh, I was on federal probation. I was toe up from the floor up. By the grace of Allah, by the mercy of Allah, that I made it through that. I tell you, it was tough. It was tough. And I was depressed for quite some time behind that, man. Wasn't feeling sorry for myself, but I just lost so much. And as soon as I get out, where you're supposed to be feeling good, that you're free after being locked up, that you're doing 17 and a half years, you're feeling straight, you're feeling like, you're free, you're right there, but then your dad gives up the fight. They don't say he gives up the fight. The fight overtook him. Now, I've got children of my own. They're all adults. I have two boys and a girl that are living. One of my daughters passed away when she was a baby. But and I have to fight depression behind the fact that they're grown. When I left, they were children. When I came home, they were grown with children of their own. point of fact of what I'm talking about. Just take a listen.
Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world. In the United States, close to 10% of adults struggle with depression. But because it's a mental illness, it can be a lot harder to understand than, say, high cholesterol. One major source of confusion is the difference between having depression and just feeling depressed. Almost everyone feels down from time to time. Getting a bad grade, losing a job, having an argument, even a rainy day can bring on feelings of sadness. Sometimes there's no trigger at all. It just pops up out of the blue. Then circumstances change, and those sad feelings disappear. Clinical depression is different. It's a medical disorder, and it won't go away just because you want it to. It lingers for at least 2 consecutive weeks and significantly interferes with one's ability to work, play, or love. Depression can have a lot of different symptoms: a low mood, loss of interest in things you'd normally enjoy, changes in appetite, feeling worthless or excessively guilty, sleeping either too much or too little, poor concentration, restlessness or slowness, loss of energy, or recurrent thoughts of suicide. If you have at least 5 of those symptoms, according to psychiatric guidelines, you qualify for a diagnosis of depression. And it's not just behavioral symptoms. Depression has physical manifestations inside the brain. First of all, there are changes that could be seen with the naked eye and X-ray vision. These include smaller frontal lobes and hippocampal volumes. On a more micro scale, depression is associated with a few things: the abnormal transmission or depletion of certain neurotransmitters, especially serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, blunted circadian rhythms, or specific changes in the REM and slow wave parts of your.
You know, we had a family reunion a couple of weeks ago. And to tell you the truth, there was a lot of the family that I knew. You know, you got family cousins that you ain't never met before. You know, extensions of your family that's been branched off. You know what I'm saying? It's coming. But the immediate ones that I knew, wasn't that many of them there. But it it felt good to be around family. Even though maybe there's somebody there that you really didn't get along with or you didn't agree with, it was family. They was all together, taking pictures, eating, the little ones running around, going crazy. You know, it felt good. And right before that, I remember sitting in the car, just thinking, like, my mom's not here, my baby brother's not here, my dad's not here, my daughter's not here, my kids didn't come. I was feeling a little bit, you know, I was feeling a little bit apprehensive. I was feeling a little bit down. Then I saw my sister. And when I saw my sister, things changed. Because my sister, man, is my heart. I ain't gonna lie to you. My sister's my heart. Growing up, I never had to worry about my sister in the streets. I never had to worry about my sister being a tramp. I never had to worry about my sister being um, gang banging. I didn't have to worry about my sister being mistreated. You know what I'm saying? My sister was raised by a hell of a woman and a hell of a man. And she had an older brother that had a hand in on it too. Merciless caregivers, salt water and palms, heart murmurs and asthma. Can see these are the elemental concepts of a weakened infrastructure. I am my brother's keeper. Words